There are extremely specific prophecies made by Prophet Muhammad, exactly 14 centuries ago. Many have already come true with shocking accuracy, while the more disturbing ones seem very close to happening. Among the signs of the last day, barefoot and uneducated people will gain great wealth and compete in building very tall buildings. Today, the giant skyscrapers in Dubai and fortunes formed in short time clearly show this hadith. Our prophet also told us time would speed up, years passing like months, months like weeks. Today, we all feel this. While speaking about the end times, our prophet warned the real threat would come from unseen worlds. Dajjal will have powers that seem extraordinary, making rainfall, making land green, bringing the dead back to life. Great scholars like Ibn Arabi explain these will not be real miracles but strong deception, an illusion created using jinn and satanic beings. By using jinn's ability to shape-shift, he will appear in the form of people's dead parents, showing them lost family members and claiming he brought them back to life. Many who don't know these hadiths will believe what they see and fall into this great fitna. The threats from unseen worlds will come with many different faces and methods. Especially in recent years, increasing discussions about contact with aliens suggest this veil is slowly being lifted. Day by day, the line between humans and unseen beings is becoming thinner. The Qur'an clearly states, "Some people from among humans sought refuge with some from among the jinn, and this only increased them in rebellion." This verse explains how a system works. Communication with jinn is not a legend, but not an open door for everyone. Throughout history, this door has been forced by kings, magicians, false spiritual leaders, and secret groups. Ibn Arabi speaks about 3 levels of relationship with jinn. First, accidental contact. Second, intentional but limited communication. Third, mutual agreement and service relationship. The danger begins at the 3rd level. At this point, intelligence gathering, direction, and control begin. While modern intelligence agencies collect information using satellites and digital surveillance, in the end times the armies of Dajjal will use jinn intelligence. As explained by Imam Ghazali, jinn can whisper into human hearts, influence thoughts, and even change emotional states. Imagine this at the level of an army, organized and systematic. The jinn under Dajjal's command will enter strategic points, read the thoughts of leaders, learn plans, and carry information to their master. Imagine world leaders gathered in a conference room with the most advanced security systems, thickest walls, most encrypted communications, but in the corner, unseen, a jinn is waiting. It hears every word, learns every plan, then suddenly disappears and carries the information to Dajjal's headquarters. This is not science fiction. This is reality explained in Islamic sources. Jinn work like an army. They have communities, leaders, and chains of obedience. In hadiths, it is mentioned that Iblis has a throne and tries to rule the world from it. This is not a metaphor. This is an organizational structure. Jinn observe human weaknesses, analyze fears, record how a person reacts to each emotion. A moment of anger, pride, despair. These are all entry points for them, and this information is passed on like intelligence. The hadiths tell us this fitna will increase, truth and falsehood will mix together. This environment is a golden age for jinn because they touch the heart. Ibn Arabi says the jinn show a person his dark sides and awaken the evil inside him. From 2026 and after, especially with technology combined with psychological manipulation, the influence of jinn will increase many times. Right now, in the deepest underground facilities, medium intelligence agents are working who try to make contact with beings from the metaphysical realm. Ibn al-Arabi points out jinn do not affect humans only spiritually. They also have the ability to act upon matter. Remember when Suleiman wanted the throne of Balkis brought from thousands of kilometers away, and Ifrit from the jinn said, "I will bring it to you before you rise from your place." Imagine a commander whose army can pass through walls, cannot be detected by radar, cannot be seen by satellites. After 2026, war doctrines will change. Dajjal will not come alone. Dajjal comes as a system. The Dajjal system prepares battalions made of jinn to establish its false rule. With their ability to manipulate matter, these beings will cause unexplained failures in strategic facilities and carry out physical attacks. At the same time, they will whisper into the minds of key leaders, leading them to make wrong decisions. Global power centers and esoteric groups have understood that the limits of the material world are not enough for absolute power. They have been seeking for centuries. Now they're going deeper. This is the foundation of the Fitna of Dajjal. He has not yet appeared on the stage, but behind the curtain, the preparations have already begun. Apart from jinn and metaphysical events, one of the important signs of the last day is destructive earthquakes. He said, "The hour will not come until earthquakes increase." We may wake up one day to news of a very large earthquake in a major city like Istanbul with a very high number of deaths. In a remarkable hadith, Muhammad also foretold, "The hour will not come until the lands of the Arabs return to being meadows and rivers." Recently, we have all noticed unusually heavy rainfall in Arabia and even around the Kaaba. The rain has become so frequent and intense that greenery has started to appear in Mecca. The greening of a large area shows this sign has begun to come true. The Qur'an points to a greener past or future of Arabia. A sign for them is the dead land. We gave it life and brought forth grain from it. Geological records confirm the Arabian Peninsula was once fertile and green. Modern climate models are changing in very strange ways that match these prophecies. The Euphrates crisis brings another prophecy into sharp focus. Our prophet said, "The hour will not come until the Euphrates River dries up and reveals a mountain of gold." Today, the Euphrates is facing serious water crisis with water levels dropping dramatically. The Quran warns about water scarcity. Say, "Tell me if your water were to sink away, who could bring you flowing water?" This prophecy is not only about environmental change, but resource conflict that will arise when nations fight over water rights. As mentioned in hadiths, that people will fight over the treasures of the river. The messenger of Allah, who said many different disasters would occur, may also have pointed to global pandemics like COVID. He spoke about events that would happen on a worldwide scale. In 2026, not only the hadiths, but even magazines like The Economist report that pandemics and strange diseases will increase. COVID-19 was only a beginning. Future outbreaks may be much more deadly. The strategy of Dajjal is clear: to weaken people, frighten them, and bring them under control. We do not trust The Economist magazine cover. We look at it to understand their strategies. For many years, people have believed these covers are not simple news, but almost like predictions, coded messages, or announcements of the hidden agenda of global powers. Whenever the world order shakes, whenever geopolitical balances change, whenever global crises break out, the same trace is left behind. The Economist cover had pointed to it months or years earlier. The magazine has released its 2026 cover, an illustration that looks like a celebration cake, but in every detail carries signs of danger, war, technology collapse, and a new world order at first glance. A large birthday cake decorated with red, blue, and white cream. On top, a big number 250, referring to the 251st anniversary of the United States in 2026. But a magazine whose covers are full of codes would never present such a critical number with a cake as just a celebration. This cake carries a three-layered message. First, 2026 is the 251st year of the United States. From outside, this looks like pride and national unity. But the dark symbols around it, drone swarms, broken charts, war icons, genetic symbols, cast a shadow over this cake. It looks like a celebration, but when you look closer, this is not a holiday. It is a turning point. The American system reached its peak in 250 years and is now in decline. 250 is a threshold, just like when the Roman Empire moved from rise to collapse. According to strategic analysts, American power peaked in the 20th century, fractures began in the 21st, and the 250th year may mark the beginning of a new world order. This cake is not prepared for celebration, but for farewell. The cake may be a metaphor, a closing ceremony of one era, an announcement of a new one. blowing out the candles of the old system, preparing the new system. The candles of the American century are going out. Watch carefully what comes next. That we have reached the end of Pax Americana. There will no longer be peace in Europe or in the Americas as before. On the very day we prepared this video, the German Chancellor said these words on television. Maybe the Great War, called Malhama Kubra in Islam and Armageddon in Christianity, is at the door. German forces were reported gathering near the Russian border. The collapse of the American system may soon become unavoidable both economically and militarily. An unbearable capitalism and debt-based economy have become a heavy burden on the world. Another detail on the Economist cover is the satellites, the peak of sky surveillance. The satellites are spreading radar waves around them. These represent surveillance from space, signal wars, satellite sabotage, and risk of global disconnection. In 2026, these signals represent a digital darkness spreading into energy networks, banks, election systems, and people's personal lives. A drone being shot down and cargo ship targeted from satellite suggest 2026 may be the year of high-altitude conflicts. The sky has become the main stage of weapons, signals, surveillance, and threats. At the beginning of the video, we said jinn would be presented as aliens and that contact with aliens, meaning jinn, would take place. The Economist cover also points to this idea. Shape-shifting is part of the nature of jinn. The myth of extraterrestrial beings is a perfect disguise for the army of Dajjal. Those unidentified objects in the sky, beams of light, gray-skinned beings. When we look at them through Islamic sources, we understand many are shape-shifted jinn. They can move at speeds technology cannot explain and pass beyond matter. When Dajjal appears or declares his global rule, he will show these beings, claiming they are highly advanced technology. He may say, "Look, even our friends from the stars are under my command. I rule not only the world, but the universe." These beings can take human form, but also superhuman, angelic, or alien forms. Ibn al-Arabi says jinn can wear forms from the world of imagination and descend into the material world. People will think they are seeing saviors descending from the sky, but in reality they are nothing but ifrits and marids under Dajjal's command. This is theater planned for thousands of years, designed to prepare humanity for a false messiah. Now we come to an extraordinary prophecy: wild animals and objects speaking to humans. The messenger of Allah said, "I swear by the one in whose hand is my soul. The hour will not come until wild animals speak to people, until the tip of a man's whip speaks to him, until the strap of his shoe speaks to him, and until his thigh tells him what his family did after him." Maybe you will miss silence in this new phase starting from 2026. The shocking news given by our prophet 14 centuries ago in the middle of the desert stands before us by combining with today's technological and metaphysical reality. When we say speaking, we usually think of words from a mouth. But speaking is transmitting meaning. If something gives you information, reacts to you, and produces a response, it is no longer silent. Maybe with special machines, we will fully understand the emotions of animals. With artificial intelligence, we may reach a point where we understand exactly what they mean. AI algorithms are already decoding frequencies of whales. Devices that translate a baby's cry as, "I am hungry," are already on store shelves. Very soon, the meowing of your cat will not be just a sound. AI chips in their collars will analyze brain waves and give you clear answers. The most frightening part is about objects we think are lifeless. What do the whip and shoe strap mentioned in the Hadith point to in the modern world? To the black glass boxes you always carry, smartphones. The tip of the whip. The phone will inform its owner. While you were away, your spouse talked to this person. Your child visited this website. This already happens through notifications. But tomorrow these objects will literally speak. There's also the spiritual side. A believer may enter his home and hear his couch say, "Welcome, O friend of Allah." Or a tyrant may hide behind a rock and that rock will cry out, "O Muslim, there is a tyrant behind me. Come and punish him." The hadith about stones and trees except the Garkad tree. Ibn al-Arabi says everything is alive and everything has a language. but we could not hear it. In the end times, the heaviness on the ears will be removed. The frequency of matter and human perception will become equal. This is where artificial intelligence comes in. Behind AI are machines and chips, matter and algorithms. From the union of matter and algorithms, a new form is born. Our phones and computers already talk to us. The speaking of lifeless objects may also point to artificial intelligence. Maybe these lifeless things will be given bodies, enter our lives as robots, and speak to us by taking human-like form as if they were living beings. Let us now look at the prophecies of Ibn Arabi about 2026. We are standing in the middle of the mysterious visions of Muhyiddin Ibn al-Arabi, the greatest mystic of 800 years ago, guardian of cosmic secrets whose words seem to tear through layers of time and reach our day. Many researchers ask, did Ibn Arabi truly see the future? The picture Ibn Arabi draws for this period is frighteningly detailed. Point one, the first sentences taken from Ibn Arabi's texts. This year the winds are many and strong. Events begin with the wind. While the storms, hurricanes, dry winds, fires, and unstable weather of 2025 seem to match his description almost exactly, it is said in 2026, these air movements point to something far more dangerous in Ibn Arabi's symbolic language. Wind represents things that spread quickly, a virus, a war, a rebellion, or economic collapse. He continues, in this year wars increase. When we look at today's geopolitical map, these words sound disturbingly familiar. Point one of the most discussed lines. Because of a sudden disease, especially animals of the donkey kind perish greatly. In medieval Arabic, donkey kind includes horses, mules, and all service and transport animals. Modern commentators explain this in two ways: the possibility of a new animal-based epidemic or a major economic collapse affecting agriculture and transportation. When combined with predictions of falling prices for sheep meat and fat, it suggests that in 2026 there may be serious shocks in livestock and the food supply chain. The text continues, smallpox increases and diseases of the throat and back become common. Medical historians say this doesn't have to mean literal smallpox. It can be symbolic description of viral diseases with fever and skin rashes. Point one of the most striking statements. In this year, the desire for looting and plunder increases among people. Many researchers see this as a symbol of deepening economic crisis and war psychology. Ibn Arabi adds, harvest is little, demand is much, patience is little. This may point to a year when societies become fragile, anger rises, and unrest spreads. Muhyiddin Ibn al-Arabi narrows the geography clearly. In Yemen, Iraq, and Sham, high prices and chaos increase. Great disorder appears. In his time, Sham referred to a wide region from today's Syria, extending deep into Anatolia. This prediction opens the door to scenarios such as new conflicts in Syria, widening of Iran-Israel tension, sectarian clashes, economic collapse, and waves of migration. His statement, fear is felt during the Hajj season, is often discussed by modern commentators as possible sign of regional attacks or major security threats. Point one of Ibn Arabi's most symbolic and debated sentences. One of the moon or the sun is eclipsed. Because of this, much blood is shed. This reflects traditional interpretation that connects astronomical events with political and military crises. In 2026, there is indeed a significant cycle of solar and lunar eclipses. Those who follow Ibn Arabi's text see events in the sky as key moments of destiny. Historically, eclipses have often coincided with wars. The final and darkest emphasis for 2026. Pregnant women lose their children before their time. Ibn Arabi explains this with the influence of Saturn and describes the year as unfortunate. In the modern world, this brings two possibilities: a widespread health problem or natural decline in birth rates during periods of social and economic collapse. According to Ibn Arabi, these signs together point to a period not of peace, but of testing, a time when humanity is pushed to its limits, both physically and spiritually. The most repeated symbol on the Economist cover is pills scattered everywhere. Along with this, injection needles and medical tool icons are also very striking. These details may be whispering one of the darkest messages about 2026. The pills look randomly spread, but this actually represents the broken and fragmented health system of the modern world. It points to a huge control mechanism formed by global pharmaceutical companies, state policies, and biotechnology revolutions. The pills are not lined up because human health is no longer treated as a whole. It has become a divided industry. Each pill represents intervention of a different power center, a health policy imposed by a state, a billion-dollar drug project, or a controversial experiment from a laboratory. The syringe symbol deepens this message. On the cover, injections are drawn together with weapons and drones. This is not coincidence. This placement suggests that in 2026, danger will not come only from drones and war technologies in the sky, but also from inside the human body itself. The cover seems to say, the battlefield of the future is the human body. The darkest question, who will control this body? The individual, states, global corporations, or AI-supported health systems? The scattered pills symbolize how unclear the answer is. Not order, but confusion. Not healing, but the possibility of manipulation. One of the 2026 predictions on the cover is robots. As humans withdraw from the workforce, machines take their place. The robot stands with its arms open as if saying, "Now I am here." It is the symbol of the rise of robotics, cold but everywhere. By 2026, these systems are expected to move to the very center of the economic, social, and political order. On the cover, there is a red human brain connected to a red cable. The other end goes to a game controller. This is not a simple drawing. It may represent the most critical war of the future, the war over the mind. 2026 may mark the beginning of a time when a human brain is no longer seen as just an organ, but as a new market, a new battlefield, and a new system. What does the brain being connected to a game controller mean? A controller moves a character left and right, makes it jump, run, and turn. It gives full control. The economist's message seems to be, it is no longer only machines that are controlled. The human mind itself can be controlled like a game character. This points to a more advanced version of what we already see today. Algorithms shaping behavior, TikTok dopamine loops, advertising manipulation, political influence, and social engineering. We are no longer playing the game. The game is playing us. Another meaning of this symbol is the rapid rise of neurotechnology. Elon Musk's Neuralink experiments, chips that help paralyzed patients move, mind-control computers, and theories about transferring consciousness are no longer science fiction. They are laboratory realities. The Economist message is clear. 2026 may be the beginning of the era when the brain connects to the internet. When you look at the cover as a whole, the first feeling is chaos. When you look closely at this chaos, the most obvious thing is rockets everywhere. None suggest peaceful space exploration. This may be one of the Economist's strongest messages for 2026, that the shape, direction, and placement of the rockets matter. Some launch straight up, some are horizontal, and some appear next to pills and syringes, which suggest biological weapons. The message is clear. War is no longer one-dimensional. Military, biological, technological, and space dimensions are all active at the same time. Another striking section is the leaders. On the left, three suited figures walking side by side represent power blocks outside the United States, especially China, Russia, and Europe. These are actors who shake the system from within. On the right, the red-headed figure with raised hand represents Trump, symbolizing the populist wave inside America. The two swords crossed in the center are especially important. One represents the United States, the other China. These swords show that leaders are no longer fighting only through diplomacy, but through technology, chip wars, artificial intelligence, and economic pressure. The cable passing behind the swords connects directly to the red line, linking the brain to the controller. The meaning: in 2026, great powers are not only fighting over borders. They are fighting over minds, data flow, and digital control. These figures represent more than individual leaders. They represent system operators wearing the masks of leaders. The Economist cover seems to give this final message. In 2026, the real battle will not be about whether Biden, Trump, or Xi wins. It will be about who holds the plug to our minds. Now we move to another hadith, the famous and terrifying warning. The hour will not come until the Euphrates River dries up and reveals a mountain of gold. People will fight over it, and out of every 100 people, 99 will die. Each one of them will say, "Maybe I will be the one who survives." Just as technological transformation reaches its peak, the geography of the world will follow. Climate crisis, dam conflicts, and water wars will lead to the drying of the Euphrates. In its riverbed, perhaps remnants of ancient civilizations, perhaps a geological formation, or perhaps a natural anomaly will reveal massive reserves of pure gold at that moment. The artificial gold of Dajjal and this cursed treasure created by Allah will collide. While technology-produced gold loses its value through inflation and manipulation, the gold of the Euphrates will become the final test of human greed. Muslims have been given this clear command: whoever is present there should not take anything from it. Why? Because that gold is soaked in blood. That gold is fitna. That gold represents the desire to cling to this world forever. Believers will walk past it without even turning their heads, because they know whoever reaches for that mountain will lose not only their arm, but their soul. Our prophet also said a time will come when knowledge will be abundant, but wisdom will be scarce. This intellectual weakness is clearly mentioned in the hadiths as one of the signs of the end times. We are exposed to an endless flood of information, yet great intellectuals, philosophers, and thinkers who truly influence societies are not emerging. Maybe this is connected to people being made shallow by dark systems, constantly scrolling through short videos, slowly becoming mentally numb. Perhaps by constantly consuming unnecessary and false information, our intellectual capacity is actually decreasing. We can no longer focus on what truly matters. In Surah Al-Hujurat it says, "O believers, if a sinful person brings you news, verify it." This verse appeared long before fake news and today's digital rumors, yet it directly speaks to our time. At its core, it gives us a path to navigate a world where misinformation spreads everywhere through social media. And if we return again to the Economist cover, it was saying that modern science and artificial intelligence will be used to control the minds of the masses. At the beginning of the video, we also mentioned this could be done with the help of jinn. Artificial intelligence has already started to analyze data and predict what a person is thinking. In 2026, this system will become much more advanced. With a band placed on your head, your thoughts may appear on screen. This is the technological version of the claim of knowing the unseen mentioned in the hadiths. The system of Dajjal will use this technology. It will read people's thoughts and identify who is obedient and who is opposing. Imagine a believer walking in the street. In his mind, he thinks Dajjal is a liar. I will never believe in him. But a camera on the corner detects his brain waves through special sensors. The system gives an alert, opposition detected. A few minutes later, security forces stop that Muslim. "But I did nothing," he says. "No," they reply, "but you thought." This is thought crime. The dystopia described in George Orwell's 1984 becomes reality. But mind reading will not be only individual. It will also be collective. Big data analysis can already study the behavior of millions of people and predict what they will do. Which videos do you watch on social media? Which news do you click on? How long do you stay? At what time are you active? All of this creates your psychological profile. In 2026, this system will go even deeper. Algorithms will not only know what people are doing, but also what they will do next, and content will be shown accordingly. There is an election. The system predicts how each person will vote. It sends special messages to undecided people. To one person, it emphasizes economy, to another, security. In the end, people think they're voting with free will, but in reality, the algorithm has guided them. Imam Ghazali says the best way to deceive a person is to make him feel free. This is exactly what Dajjal will do. He will say to people, "You are free," but step by step, he will control them. The advertising industry already does this. Which color, which music, which word triggers which emotion, all of this is already known. But in 2026, it will go much further. Brain scans will show which advertisement activates which part of the brain, and ads will be specially designed. There's a product. Your brain reacts strongly to the idea of security. Then that product will be shown to you with the message, this product protects you. Another person's brain reacts to the idea of prestige. Then that person will be shown, this product makes you special. Different minds, different messages, all perfectly calculated. The same product is shown, but everyone is manipulated according to their own psychological need. Our prophet said, in the end times, people will prefer this world over the hereafter. They will sell their religion for their wealth. This is how it happens. Neuromarketing, manipulating minds, and pushing people into constant consumption. Not only thoughts but emotions will be read. Facial recognition systems already know who is angry and who is happy. In 2026, this system will watch the streets. There is a crowd. The system scans everyone and says general mood, tense. The system of Dajjal immediately acts. Relaxing images appear on screens. Calm music plays from speakers. The crowd is manipulated without realizing it. They were about to protest, but now they are calm. Ibn Khaldun says the way to rule societies is to rule their moods. In the end times, this principle will be applied through technology, subliminal messages, invisible propaganda. In the past, subliminal messages were used in advertisements. A very fast image would appear in a frame. Your conscious mind would not see it, but your subconscious would record it. In 2026, this technique will be far more advanced. Invisible frequencies will be broadcast through screens. You wear headphones, and messages come at frequencies you cannot hear. Obey Dajjal. Trust Dajjal. Love Dajjal. You do not hear these words, but the deeper layers of your brain receive them. Slowly your resistance to Dajjal melts away. But believers will know how to protect themselves. As Imam Ghazali taught, purifying the heart. A believer prays regularly and reads the Qur'an. His heart is full of light. When these subconscious messages come, his heart rejects them. He feels this is a false voice. The prophet said, in the body there's a piece of flesh. If it is sound, the whole body is sound. If the heart is strong, manipulation does not work. The most dangerous manipulation, controlling the options. They give you 3 choices, A, B, and C. You freely choose C. But in reality, the system already knew you would choose C. A and B were only fake options. Imagine an election. There are 2 candidates. Both are actually men of Dajjal, but people do not know this. They think we are choosing freely. No matter what the result is, a brilliant algorithm makes sure that Dajjal and his system win. Ibn Arabi says freedom in this world is often an illusion. True freedom is in servitude to Allah. In 2026, people will think they are free, but in reality, they will be tied with invisible chains. Even today, every person sees a different internet. The algorithm shows you content based on your interests. If you're left-leaning, you see left-leaning content. If you are right-leaning, you see right-leaning content. Everyone lives in their own echo chamber. They never hear the opposite view. Polarization increases. In 2026, this will go even deeper. Not only political views, but everything will be personalized. Your reality will be different from your neighbor's reality. And Dajjal will give a different message to every group. To one group, he will say, I am peace. To another group, he will say, I am justice. Everyone will see what they want to see. Imam Suyuti says the greatest weapon of Dajjal is showing a different face to everyone. Oh, how will Muslims protect themselves? First step, digital choices. We will spend time on screens, but we should choose Islamic videos or educational content. Even for entertainment, turning to Islamic cinema can help. Digital fasting can also be done, maybe 1 day a week. Second step, dhikr and meditation. If the mind is constantly busy, manipulation is difficult. But if the mind is empty, everything can enter. Believers will fill their minds with dhikr. Allah, 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 constantly. Then there will be no space left for outside messages. Third step, critical thinking. Question every piece of information. Is this true? What is the source? What is the purpose? Calculating, thinking, questioning. This is the best shield against manipulation. In 2026, the biggest war will be in the minds. The system of Dajjal will read thoughts, manipulate emotions, and control options. But believers will resist with a clean mind and a clean heart. And they will win because a pure heart is the strongest fortress. Since we were talking about prophecies, let us also mention The Simpsons. On social media, there are many posts claiming The Simpsons predicted events like the 2026 World Cup final, a massive snowstorm freezing America, or even a world war. However, the creators of the show have clearly stated that these images did not come from The Simpsons. They were completely produced by internet users, especially in the age of artificial intelligence. The producers warn everyone to be careful about fake Simpsons prophecy images. When we look closely and research properly, there is no solid or real reference in The Simpsons that directly points to the year 2026.2026 and beyond. It looks frightening, doesn't it? Dark, chaotic, and difficult. But remember this. The darkest moment of the night comes just before dawn. What we have described is not a disaster scenario. It is a birth pain. It is the beginning of a second spring carrying the scent of a coming golden age, a new era of justice, peace, and balance. The fitna of Dajjal, the influence of jinn, the betrayal of technology, all of these are temporary tests. What remains permanent is faith, hope, and the promise of Allah. Be ready. Prepare not only your minds, but also your hearts. Because history is not ending. The real history is just beginning. And Allah alone knows the future, and He knows best. Our wish for all of us is to live a good, peaceful, and calm 2026.